Look, we all think we know the story of Macbeth, right? The brave general, the super ambitious wife, those creepy witches, and that bloody, bloody path to the throne. But today, we're not just going to retell the story. We're going to go deeper. We're popping the hood, opening up the toolbox, and seeing how Shakespeare, the master builder himself, actually constructed this tragic masterpiece.
So, here's the real question. You know what happens, but do you know how Shakespeare makes it all happen? I want you to stop thinking of the play as just a story and start seeing it as a piece of architecture. Together, we're going to explore the blueprint, the scaffolding, and the very tools he used to build it from the ground up.
Okay, here's our game plan. First, we'll check out the blueprint, the whole form of a Shakespearean tragedy. Then, we'll look at the scaffolding that gives it its shape, the classic five-act structure. After that, we get to the fun part, opening the toolkit to see how Shakespeare uses language, and finally, we'll pull it all together and see why any of this really matters.
Right, so first things first. Every great construction project starts with a plan, a blueprint. And Shakespeare wasn't just making this up as he went along. He was working from a very specific design, the Shakespearean tragedy. Understanding this form is without a doubt the first step to understanding the whole thing.
So what is this blueprint? Well, a Shakespearean tragedy has a pretty clear set of rules. You've got a hero, someone important, high status, but this hero has one critical defect, a fatal flaw. And that one flaw doesn't just lead to their own downfall, oh no. It causes this ripple effect of suffering for everyone around them, until finally, at the very end, some kind of order is put back in place.
And you can see how Macbeth fits this mold perfectly, can't you? Our tragic hero? That's Macbeth, the celebrated general. His fatal flaw? Oh, it's that vaulting, unchecked ambition. You've got the supernatural element, with the witches basically lighting the fuse on that ambition. All of this leads to so much tragic waste, the senseless deaths of Duncan, Banquo, Macduff's entire family. And for us, watching it all, we get what's called catharsis, that feeling of releasing all that pity and fear. It's a classic formula.
All right, let's move on to the scaffolding. If tragedy is the blueprint, then the five-act structure is the framework holding it all together. It's what gives the play its shape, its incredible pacing, and its relentless momentum, dragging us from that first spooky prophecy all the way to the final bloody showdown. Think of this structure as a dramatic arc, kind of like a roller coaster. Act 1 is the exposition. We meet everyone, and the witches drop their bombshell prophecy. Act 2 is the rising action, where the tension just skyrockets with the murder of Duncan. The climax, the peak, hits in Act 3, when Macbeth sees Banquo's ghost and his downfall becomes, totally inevitable. Act 4 is the falling action, where all the opposition starts gathering against him. And it all comes crashing down in Act 5, the catastrophe, with the final battle and Macbeth's death. And inside this scaffolding, certain moments are like these crucial load-bearing columns. The witch's prophecy, that ignites the whole conflict. The murder of Duncan is the absolute point of no return. Then, seeing Banquo's ghost, that's Macbeth's public unraveling. And finally, the murder of Macduff's innocent family, that act solidifies his pure evil and basically guarantees his fate.
So we've got the blueprint, we've got the scaffolding, but now we get to the really intricate work. The toolkit, because Shakespeare's language isn't just a bunch of fancy words. No way. It's a set of precision instruments he uses to build atmosphere, to carve out characters, and to hammer home the play's deepest themes.
One of the most important tools in his kit is the imagery of light versus dark. It is everywhere in this play. Light is almost always used to represent goodness, truth, and the natural order of things. But darkness? Darkness is evil, it's deception, it's the chaos Macbeth unleashes on Scotland. Just think about when he begs the stars to hide your fires so they can't see his black and deep desires. I mean, he is literally asking for darkness to cover up his evil deeds.
And that brings us to another seriously powerful tool, the motif of blood. Right after he kills Duncan, Macbeth asks this haunting question, and you can tell he already knows the answer is no. This blood, it's not just a physical stain he can wash off, it's a psychological one. It's a symbol of guilt that is so deep, so permanent, that it will follow both him and Lady Macbeth right to their graves.
Now this is where it gets really clever. Shakespeare even uses the style of speech as a tool. Most of the noble characters speak in verse, this rhythmic, structured, poetic style. But prose, which is just regular everyday speech, is used for lower status characters, or, and this is the important part, for nobles when they are losing their minds. Lady Macbeth's famous sleepwalking scene, it's all in prose. It's a huge red flag to the audience that her sanity,
Her control has completely shattered.
And that verse we were just talking about, it has a name. Iambic pentameter. Now, I know that sounds super technical, but stick with me, it's actually really simple. It's a line with 10 syllables that has a rhythm that goes da, dum, da, dum, da, dum, 5 times. It's like a heartbeat. This rhythm gives the play its driving pulse and this sense of formal gravity, which makes total sense for a story about kings and queens.
And trust me, the toolkit is absolutely packed. You've got powerful symbolism. That floating dagger points right to Macbeth's ambition, while murdered sleep represents his lost innocence. He uses antithesis, which is just setting up direct opposites, like in the witches' chant, fair is foul and foul is fair, which shows a world where all morality is turned upside down. And of course, he uses these unforgettable metaphors, like Macbeth's final, bleak description of life as nothing more than a meaningless story.
Okay, so we've looked at the blueprint, the scaffolding, and the tools. But why does any of this actually matter? Well, because understanding how the play is built is the absolute key to unlocking its deepest meanings. And for a lot of you, it's the key to taking your analysis to a whole new level.
And here it is. This is the main takeaway. It's one thing to just say, Macbeth felt guilty. Okay, fine. But it's 1,000 times more powerful to say Shakespeare conveys Macbeth's inescapable guilt through the recurring motif of blood. You see the difference? When you do that, you're not just retelling the plot, you're analyzing the craft. You're showing how the master builder did his work.
Which leaves us with one final huge question. Now that you understand the tools and the blueprint, I want you to think about this. Was Macbeth truly the architect of his own downfall, using his own free will to build his tragic fate? Or was he just a puppet, a piece in a much larger, darker structure that was designed all along by those prophecies and by fate? Now that's a debate the play leads for us to build ourselves.